Whenever I'm hired to come in and improve a sales team, they usually only have one or two things supporting them in closing deals. They might have some case studies, and maybe if you're lucky, they'll have a current member who's willing to speak to a prospect if they get a cut of the deal. And one of the things that I implement very quickly in a business to help improve their close rate by 5, even 10% is what I call a proof stack. It's a set of assets and tools that sit around your closes and make the deal feel undeniable to the prospect, not because of pressure, but because of proof. My name's Josh, and I'm currently VP of Sales of a high-ticket business doing about $1 million a month, and I've helped contribute over $50 million in closed deals across the businesses I've worked with. In this video, I'm going to break down the core components of what a proof stack is and how you can implement them in your business. This is for 3 types of people. This is for the closers. This is what you should be asking your team lead for if you don't have it. This is for the operators. This is what you should be talking to your founder about and building with them. And if you're a founder, this is your reminder to get back in the game and help your team win. But don't worry, I have a system ensuring this doesn't take up too much of your time. So I'm going to walk you through 6 tools that I've built into the proof stack at the businesses that I've worked with and how each one of them works. So I know that was a very punchy, straight to the point video, and I wanted to just wrap up with a couple of things. Is that I've worked with quite a few founders, and one of the patterns I see, especially once the company gets past a certain size, is a founder will try to pull themselves completely out of sales, which is why they hire someone like me, obviously. But they go too far and they become precious with their time. They don't want to provide support. And I get it. You guys are busy, right? That's the whole point. You're leading the company. You're not in the weeds. But what I can tell you from running sales departments is the companies where the founder is willing to get involved, even in a structured and time efficient way, the team is able to close at a higher rate. Like it's not even close, and they retain their team members so much more. The company where I'm VP of sales right now is one of the most hands-on founders I've ever worked with. And there's actually a value in the company, which is about testing, right? And he encourages everyone to come up with ideas, try different things, and is always willing to take the time to run experiments. So when we're testing how to do, a bunch of Q&A calls or info calls during the week, like he didn't say, oh, I can only do 1 a week. He's like, why can't I do 1 today? Why don't we do 2 on Wednesday? And it's like, how do we just push this test to the limit? And the test ended up being once a week, was actually perfect. But he never shies away from trying something out. Like he'll take time out of his Saturday, his Sunday, and you'll often hear founders get on group calls and be like, yeah, we're here for the vision and the mission and all of his beliefs, and like everyone needs to work on weekends, and then they never work on weekends, or you can just see the discrepancy between what they're saying and how they're actually acting. And if you have a founder who is not like that and they walk the talk, it drives loyalty in the team so deeply that you get team members that won't leave when things go shaky, right? And this is so important because when you have good people, and if the business goes through a tough couple of months, those people will just go elsewhere if all they're chasing is money. But they will stay if they can see that you're putting action behind your words. And you're not saying, I believe in the product. You're proving and showing that you believe in the mission and the vision. So the caveat to this is it has to be organized. Now, this is critical, right? It has to be structured so that it doesn't eat into all of your time, which is what my job is, right? My job as the VP is to build the system, help come up with ideas and organize the experiments and deliver everything to the founder in a way that minimizes their time involvement, right? I can't just say, hey, can you call Johnny and give him a chat about joining because, Sam said he's a good prospect. Like that's lazy and wastes the founder's brain power and would drive me, if I was the founder, would drive me freaking insane. And so the way that I do it, and this is for the operators, is like you need to do this. And for the founders, if your operator doesn't do this, give them a talking to, or let me know and I can find you somebody. But like there's a very clear document, like I went through earlier in the video, is like it's name, email, background, where they live, where they're from, what to say, what not to say. And it takes that they're not thinking. They're just spending 15, 20 minutes filming videos, making phone calls. They don't show up on those Q&A calls or the info calls wondering who the people are. We've got a rep who's there just delivering them info in the background, right? So they can be efficient and ready for a handoff. So like I said, if you're a founder and that sounds overwhelming, it probably means you need somebody like a VP, a sales manager, an operator who can organize things properly so it doesn't take up all of your time, but the business can still utilize your authority and frame as the founder to help everyone make more money. Okay, well, let's get stuck into it. So firstly, proof stack is essentially a set of assets and tools that sit around your closer. And as I said, not through pressure, but through proof. Without a proof stack, closer might not have anything after the call, follow up. So like just checking in, trying to do deals, trying to give them price discounts and stuff like that. And prospects can go dark and stay dark. And here with a proof stack, your closer can have a bunch of tools to deploy, follow-ups, they can be sending case study videos, they can be invited to the Q&As, all that sort of stuff. I'll go through what they are. But it allows the pipeline to stay alive for months. Like we've closed people with some of these tools from like 6 and 8 months previously, and it makes a huge difference. And something that a lot of founders will miss is like it drives a lot of loyalty. Like I said, I'll show you how this doesn't become a time suck for you. Like this can take like an hour and a half, 2 hours max a week, and can help close an extra, 1, 2, 3 deals a week very consistently. So the tools here are rolling case studies, recent results, recent dates, not from 2023 or 2024. Ambassador group, this one I love. This is great. I'll break this down for you. This is like loyal clients who the closers speak to. Q&A calls with the founder, an info call, videos from the founder, phone calls from the founder, and feedback calls. So let's jump into it. Let's not waste any time. A lot of businesses I've seen, they've got a bunch of case studies, but they're not rolling and updated, right? People are even though they might be relevant, they need to be really live. And ideally from the week before, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, any later than that, unless you're building a case study stack of people who've literally been in the same instance as them, it's nowhere near as useful. So an example was we were closing on a crypto offer, and it was we had live case studies of people making money when the bull run was on, and it crushed. You would pretty much just be taking these calls, not caring if people closed on the call, doing a one call close, because you knew that you had so much proof to send them that was happening live in that moment that almost all of the follow-ups would close. And so it's really, really valuable, keeps people, feeling like it's relevant, and people's brains are just so fried with, new and updated things that they need from social media. It's new is the only way. So format would be ideally a landing page that's updated frequently, and a Google Drive with segments for the case studies to be sent out. The closers can just pick the right ones with whatever category of person they have. Update this weekly, and obviously get the permission from client name, etc. I'm going to put a link to a different video of how to get great case studies and how to loop them in with referrals. I'll put that somewhere in this video or down in the comments down below. But I've got a really good format for this that you can just hand off to your team. That's really great. And obviously owned by the team lead operator, or the founder is the best person to do these for the first 15 to 20. So that's number one. Case studies sounds simple, but you'd be amazed at how many companies just kind of get case studies and leave them for years. Now, ambassador group. This is probably my favorite one, and this is most likely the most valuable. Is you want to have a group of fan-like clients who are happy to speak to clients. Happy to speak to prospects. What we have is we have a group chat with our quote unquote ambassadors, and these are people that, I've had people like this before. There was a guy at that, same crypto offer a few years ago called Will, and he was just a savage. He was such a savage, and he was so great at speaking to prospects and getting them signed up. Sometimes you have to split commission with them. We had a setup where we gave him $200 from the company, and so the closer didn't have to split the commission. If you have raving fans for clients, then you don't do any split commissions. That's awesome. But the best way to do it is to have a group chat with all of your favorite clients in there who are happy to speak to people. And then that way your closers can just post the type of person, their demographic, their age, etc., and then their pain point of why they're not closing. And that way the, ambassador or whatever you want to call them is able to just see that and say, yeah, that I relate to that. I'll give them a call. And the close becomes way easier. You're not getting John, who's 57 from California and who's a steel worker, talking to Susan from Florida, who's 28 and loves crochet, right? It's you need to have them very easily connected here. And you can also get them to, do a video as well, which is super helpful, but ideally a phone call. Number 3, Q&A calls with the founder. This is fantastic. This is where we've done like a 90-minute group call where the founder gets on with the prospect, answer questions, explain, who the company is and who they work for and who their ideal prospects are. And the great thing about this is we often forget when we're doing deals how much people forget about us. They might go through a bunch of material, they might speak to a closer, and then they come to a Q&A call like 2 days later, and they've forgotten, and they're asking questions that they for sure saw in the videos. They for sure got spoken to with the closer. And so this is really great. And it also helps when you send it out to your list. You're getting people who you can get the closers to invite people who they just had on a call, who they're trying to get to close across the line. So let's say you do it on a Thursday and the closer spoke to them on a Tuesday. That works really well. But if you send this out to your entire list as well, you get people who drip back in. And we've had people in the pipeline for 3, 6, even 8 months who re-engaged. They came on a Q&A call and they just closed immediately after. So really, really great. There's also authority around this with the founder. So as a founder, this will only take you like an hour and a half max. The way that we protect founders' time is you want to have a blast going out and getting people to reply if they're going to attend. Then the team member pulls their data into a spreadsheet. So all the people who said they're going to come, the notes are prepared, history, concerns, who the closer was. And then when the founder runs that, the satellite team member, this might be your operator or a closer or even a setter, they're in there and they're sending that information in a private chat to the founder so that the founder doesn't have to think, right? And so they're like, oh, I believe you spoke to John a couple of weeks ago. Is that right? And then the prospect's like, oh shit, they remember me and whatever. And in the background, you have your member who's got their camera off on Zoom or Google Meets or whatever, pulling the information from the spreadsheet and sending it over to the founder. And then you want to loop them back in. You want to loop that person to the satellite team member and get them booked into a closing call or, go into a breakout room or pick up the phone and try and close them in the moment. So really, really powerful here because you can get people from the immediate. So someone who did a closing call on a Tuesday, get them to close on a Friday. And you can also get people from the pipeline who have gone cold. So really, really helpful there. Note here, we've done a bunch of testing and tried once a week all the way up to 9 times a week. 1 times per week is actually the sweet spot. It maintains scarcity and doesn't overwhelm the prospects. And also it's a pretty good amount of time for the founder. So that's number 3. Number 4 is personalized videos from the founder. So this is where we get the closer to fill out a brief and the founder batch films a bunch of videos in 15 to 20 minutes. The videos go back to the team and the closers then distribute them. So the founder is not a roadblock. You do not want the founder to have to think, right? This is the key here. This is how you make it an efficient use of their time and very effective. You literally just have their name, the background, where they live, what to say and what not to say. And so then you literally just have a 45-second video. Hey, Sarah, Josh on my team told me about your agency in Austin. I wanted to reach out personally because we just had an SE agency go through the program. And I know you were really worried about it working in your niche, blah, 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 blah. They send that, they just put that in a drive or in their Loom. They just post it in Slack. You want to make this as little friction for the founder as possible. You can get them to send it to an editor to chop them off if there's mistakes, whatever. That goes back to the closers and then they just send it out to the prospects. So this one's also really great because it doesn't take a lot of time. If you think about requirement from founder, 15, 20 minutes tops to do 6 to 10 videos, pretty great. This one here, this one actually I've noticed has less results than this. The personalized videos has actually gone better than phone calls from the founder. This does work. But same brief as the videos, you just literally copy the same brief and say what to say, what not to say. You just put their phone number in there. You do not want the founder going into the CRM or doing any of that extra work. You want to make this as simple as possible for the founder so they can just sit there for 15 to 20 minutes on a Saturday or during the week and just get them to call them. This is where we remove the friction of the founder implementing this sort of stuff is you need to have all of this shit organized. Like you do not want to piss the founder off and have them being like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending my time looking into a CRM, looking at notes? Like you need to have this just like a really clear document that they can just pick up the phone, power dial, read, 15, 20 minutes, you're done, right? And then same like who the closer was, how you want them to speak to them. And then the founder can just put notes on the Google Doc and then the closers go in and follow up. So those are my favorite 5. Okay. Ambassador group is probably my top one, and the rolling case studies. If you can get these 2 nailed, like huge. These are huge. These are like also incredible. You want to have a full-on moat around it. And this 6th one, I got this from one of my closers. Great idea. I've tried this before, but I've only done it like successfully recently. And this is where you have closers go into each other's ghost or follow-up lists and call each other's dead prospects. So the call is framed as a feedback call, not a sales call. And so like Johnny, let's say Johnny and Sam are 2 of your closers. You want to get Sam to call Johnny's list, Johnny calls Sam's list, and they're like, hey, I'm one of the customer support people here. I'm looking to get your feedback. What caused you not to move forward? Blah, blah, blah. You just listen and you open up. Okay, if we did have something, like what would you love there to be? Like if this would be a deal that you'd want to do, what exactly would that look like? And then they're like, I just wish you guys had more one-on-one support. I feel like it was going to be all group stuff. But like, great, actually we do have one-on-one coaching built into the program. It's a newer addition. If that was the main thing holding you back, why don't we have another look? You know, obviously this is a shortened down version. You want to go, just let them talk. Just let them talk. What were all the things that you didn't like? What were the things that you liked? Et cetera, et cetera. And like it costs nothing. This is the great thing. I just get the guys to split the commission 50-50. Easy. That way you don't have anybody being annoyed, and it's worth it for each other, particularly if you have a tight team. Like, you know, guys like love closing deals together. It's pretty sweet. And then the feedback frame is really disarming. Like half the time you already have what they want. They just maybe forgot or they missed it in the first call. So hopefully that was a helpful overview. In the description below, there's some links to some other videos that go deeper into each of these. But we run plenty of experiments beyond what I've covered here. And if you're a closer, you need to push for this stuff to the operator, get them to build it. If you're an operator, you know, maybe share this video with your founder and show the founder how it's not going to suck up all of their time, but how it's going to give you a lot of benefit. And for the founders, if your guys aren't doing this, you know, share this video with them and make sure that they don't suck up a lot of time. And it's a good litmus test, right? Is like, how in it are these people? Like, how committed to the mission are they? Where they're willing to do the extra stuff, build the extra things to get those extra deals across the line. And when you do the math, you know, if you're selling a $15,000 product and you sell each an extra 1 per week, that's $780,000 in a year. All you got to do is close an extra 1 deal per week to make almost $1 million on a $15,000 product. Pretty worth your time. Talk to you soon.